All right, man, peace. So YouTube is trying to give me an issue with this video pertaining to the aftermath of the Oklahoma City Thunder and Utah Jazz series. So I'm just going to re-upload it and break it down into two parts. So for you brothers who are watching the video and it got pulled down while you were in the midst of watching it, I apologize. Here's the re-upload. Peace. All right, man, peace. So first off, I want to say congratulations to the Utah Jazz in advancing to the second round of the playoffs. And also congratulations to the Oklahoma City Thunder. Because even though they had very high expectations for their team coming into this season, I myself thought that they were a team that was built for the playoffs. They certainly proved me wrong because they never got over their chemistry issues. But a lot of that is due to their mercurial superstar, Mr. Russell Westbrook, who we're going to view in his post-game press conference interview right now. And once again, Russell Westbrook is very enigmatic, to say the least. He is a conundrum to himself and to his franchise because he seemingly can do whatever he wants to out there on the floor, but unfortunately, he does not do what he needs to. And that's a big difference in winning and losing. Certain players can do whatever they want, but can they do what their team needs and what they need? And Russell seemingly will always struggle with that dichotomy of doing what needs to be done as opposed to what he wants to do. He's suffering from the curse of the gifted. He's like Superman. He can leap over tall buildings in a single bound. He can run faster than a locomotive. He can do all that shit. But does he know how to pace himself? Does he know how to get his teammates involved? And unfortunately, most of his coaches don't know what to do with him because he's so talented. They're scared to try to reform his game. But anyway, they're going to talk about it, and I'm going to chime in. The first thing that Russell's going to be speaking about is that little dust-up that he had right after the game was over with the fan. So let's see what he has to say.
I'm tired of just going out and playing and letting fans say what the hell they want to say. I'm not with that, because if I was a...
Hey, yo, Russell even batted away the phone athletically, right? Get that goddamn phone on my face. Yo, Russell got the fastest phone swipe ever.
If I was on the street, they wouldn't just come up to me and say anything crazy because I don't play that shit.
Tell him, Russ. I like that. Tell him, rewind that back.
That shit. Just going out and playing and letting fans say what the hell they want to say. I'm not with that, because if I was on the street, they wouldn't just come up to me and say anything crazy because I don't play that shit.
Let him know, Russ. Tell him, you'll be my next rebound. I'm gonna box out and I'm gonna snatch you up. Let him know, Russ.
That shit. So I just think it's disrespectful when they get the chance to do whatever they want to do. It needs to be put to a side, especially here in Utah.
I agree with that, bro. I've never understood this notion that fans should be able to say whatever the hell they want to say just because they pay for their ticket. I mean, you pay for your movie ticket, but if you're sitting in the theater and you're making a lot of noise, the usher is going to ask you to leave because you're disturbing others. No, you don't have the right to get personal with players and come out of your mouth and say all type of craziness just because you're a quote-unquote paying customer. Those fans should be found and they should be asked to leave. They should be forwarded out of the stadium. And if what they're saying is gross enough, and when I say gross, I don't mean in a disgusting way, I mean in an extreme way, they should have their season tickets stripped. No doubt about it.
You know, Russ, now the off-season has arrived. How confident are you that Paul will stay and re-sign with the Thunder?
And the game just finished 30 minutes ago.
Yo, that's why I love Russ. You know, a lot of Russell Westbrook's idiotic fans, his little fanboys, they come in the comments, why you always disrespecting Russ? I love Russ. I love the persona that he has because you can tell that he doesn't give a fuck, and he truly does not give a fuck because he's concerned with himself. But that mentality oftentimes resonates on the basketball court because he does not know how to moderate that not give a fuck attitude. He's not quite sure how to fit himself or ingratiate himself within the team framework on the court. But once again, all of his teammates seem to love him off the court. I just like how he controls many of these media people with their idiotic questions.
So, we gonna relax, look at the season as a whole, and then, we go from there.
Well, Russ, I can already tell you, Paul George is leaving, and so is Carmelo. So, next season is going to be Russell Westbrook, First Blood, Part 3. Another Rambo flick where you can average a triple-double for the third straight year, because that's what's going to happen.
So if you can, these last 2 games, man, it seemed like you left it all on the line, man. Just kind of talk about the intensity and effort, man. That you. Every night I play, man, I leave it on the floor. I continue to say this every time I play, man. I'm not saying it for my health. That's just how I play. Regardless of win, lose, or draw, I leave it on the floor, everything I have, and sometimes you come up short, sometimes you win. But
let me say this very quickly. Many of the media members think that they're giving Russell Westbrook all these great platitudes by telling him that he plays so hard. And even here in his response, he's answering back by saying, look, I tell you this all the time. In other words, this is what they pay me for. And you can tell he has a passion for the game. But it's not any type of a platitude or a compliment to tell someone who is doing what they love that they're doing it 100%. That's what he's supposed to be doing. You should be asking many of these other NBA players how come they're not exerting as much effort on the basketball court as Russell Westbrook does. The problem with Russell is that his decision-making is horrific. And that is why I get on him. That's why I call James Harden James Hardhead. Once again, my standards for excellence are different from other people because I'm not a fanboy. I can evaluate people objectively. I don't have to sit back and say, oh, wow, look how high he can jump. I want to be a fan of his and then get emotional on the internet. Russell has a lot going for him. He does not need anyone to cape up for him. So I don't know why people get so emotional. But once again, in this current climate that we live in regards to media, there is a very, very heavy cult of personality that is developed and cultivated for all these players. And sometimes it comes back to bite them. What I like about Russell is that he does not allow anyone else to define who he is.
But that's my job to bring my energy, my aggressiveness throughout the game for my team, and that's what I do.
Absolutely. Once again, it is not a compliment when they tell him he leaves it all out there on the floor. For a person like him who has as much passion as he has for what he does, he knows that it would be an insult to himself and to his craft to give anything less than 100%. And for you brothers out there, if you're working at a certain job or a certain vocation and you don't feel compelled to give 100% every day, it's because you're doing the wrong thing.
But I do. Russ, the aggressiveness you played with specifically these last...
And beyond that, you need to find another career path, another job, some other thing that you can use to manifest all the energy that you have within you. That's a problem that a lot of brothers have. They become complacent at their quote-unquote job because they're just happy to have one. If you're not motivated every day to give 100% in what you do, is because you're doing the wrong thing, you're at the wrong job, you're in the wrong career, you're taking the wrong path. So correct that.
These last 2 games, did your approach change once you guys kind of got back into the elimination corner? No, it didn't change. I mean, you read and you see the game and see where you can be effective and try to make sure we give our team a chance to win. And that's what I try to do.
Russ, you've said when you've been asked before that the postseason is what would keep Paul here. Did that cross your mind that that an early exit could affect his mentality?
What I just say?
Absolutely. Yeah, check her, please. Check her quick. Because many of these reporters, they love to ask the same question in a different way. And what that really is an attempt to insult the intelligence of the person that they're asking the question to. So that's why I don't get aggravated when players get snippy with the media. Because the media oftentimes tries to belittle the listening comprehension of the players. And as I've stated in a previous video, Russell Westbrook, as much as I get on him for his decision-making and his basketball IQ, he's extremely sharp and intelligent off the court. There's no doubt about that.
Say to him.
Well, it's a different question.
What I just say to him?
That you're going to think about it. But I'm asking
you. There you go. That's it. Next question.
Bye, bitch.
Eric Horn, the Oklahoma, Russell. It wasn't just primarily you in those last few minutes. You were able to get some shots to Steven and spread the ball around a little bit. What did you think about the offense that you guys were able to generate in those
I thought we did a good job, man. We got stops on demand. We were down 10 or 12 with like 4 minutes ago. Got some stops. Got some buckets in transition. Got to the basket, tried to make some plays. I think P3 at the head should have been a foul call, in my opinion. Got him in the air.
Yeah, but you know what, Russ? They were not going to give you guys that call. You were in Utah. And to be quite frank with you, I don't believe that the NBA thinks that you guys are a viable threat to any of the top teams. So the referees most likely got the memo from Adam Silver or someone on the higher ups. You know what? Just call this series even, Steven, because from what we've seen in the regular season, they're not going to be a proper test for the Houston Rockets or the Golden State Warriors anyway. Plus, we don't need Paul George to stay in OKC. We want him to relocate to LA to team up with LeBron for next season. So that's most likely why a call like that, which is a bang-bang play, a 50-50 play, why I didn't go to Paul George. There are a myriad of factors that went into them not blowing their whistle there. And then to be quite frank with you, Rudy Gobert did not fall directly into him. He did kind of veer off to Paul George's right, and Paul kind of leaned into him a little bit.
But, things like that happen.
Russ, there will be some that are going to look at this box score and see kind of the disparity in shots. Do you even react to that, or is it just...
You know the answer to that question, Russ.
I know I do, but I want to hear you say it.
You say it yourself. I don't react to nobody. Man, honestly, bro, I don't. You guys are here, people at home, people across the world. It don't really matter, man. One ear throughout the other, man. The only thing that matters to me is the man above is God, man. My family, my teammates, the organization, and everybody else. I don't really care. It doesn't really.
Thank you, sir. And that's what I try to tell you, brothers, oftentimes in many of these videos. You have to be self-validated. You cannot try to live your life through a platform, whether it be social media or a facade that you put on when you're dealing with people personally. Be who you are. And don't worry about people not liking you. As long as you're not breaking the laws of the Most High, you're not breaking the laws of the land, to hell with them. Oftentimes, people claim that they don't like you because they don't like themselves. And they're trying to see if they can get you to be as depressed as they are with their pathetic-ass life. Once again, even though I objectively critique Russell Westbrook, as a person, he certainly has his shit together. There's no doubt about that. And clearly, he was raised very well by his parents. So good for him.
It doesn't really matter. It doesn't bother me. That doesn't change my life. It doesn't change my family. It doesn't change how I believe in myself. It doesn't change how I believe in my teammates, organization. It doesn't change anything, so I really don't care.
So I'm glad I got to hear you say
Cool.
Congratulations to you, Russell Westbrook. You have not quite figured out how to play high-level NBA basketball quite yet, but you have figured out the game of life, so congratulations. Okay, so now we're going to hear from Mr. Paul George.
Paul started the game with some kind of sloppiness in terms of your ball handling and turnovers. What contributes to that, and what did you think of the way that you got going as the game went on?
It's just a sloppy start. No worries for it, just a sloppy start.
Well, I can correct you, Mr. Paul George. Oftentimes, when your team has turnover issues, it's because you guys are over-dribbling and going one-on-one too much. It's a major problem that you guys have, but it was expected because your so-called big three are all one-on-one players. None of you are known for being involved in ball movement offenses. So it will be very interesting to see how well you play with Mr. LeBron James on the LA Lakers next year, should you both decide to go there.
Dean Blevins, News 9, Oklahoma City. Paul, was there anything different that Utah was doing defensively against you tonight? And if not, what did they do that particularly bothered you?
They just packed the paint.
Let me say this quickly before Paul George continues on the answer. He's known for having games like this, not necessarily just in big spots either. He's known for having 3 for 18 games, 2 for 17. He does this every once in a while for whatever reason.
More so than what they've been doing. They just packed the paint.
Utah also plays very sound defense. They're very sound on offense and defense. That's why I stated after Game 5 that they blew Game 5 because they started to smell their own fumes. They started to believe their own hype a little bit too much, and they started to play out of character. Once again, Utah is like a very skilled craftsman in the boxing ring who decides that he's going to slug with a slugger just to show that he can. And whenever you do that, you start to play Russian roulette. Because as a slugger starts to land punches that he wasn't landing earlier in the fight, he builds confidence. And that's what Utah allowed in Game 5. They got very sloppy. in both their offensive and defensive principles, and they allowed OKC back into the game. Now, Game 6 was played very much close to the vest by both teams, and Donovan Mitchell, who we'll be hearing from a little bit later, was able to rise to the occasion and show that he himself could exhibit that glow that I was speaking about after Game 5. When Russell Westbrook got the glow, the shown-off glow, well, Donovan Mitchell showed that he can get the glow as well. So, once again, good for him, but we'll be addressing him a little bit later.
That's been their game plan all series long. Pack the paint, force me to play down into Gobert. Difference is, we weren't getting the same calls that we got in Game 4. Or Game 5, I should say.
Well, that normally happens when you're not at home, Paul George.
Just say so. I think that was the difference. The difference of my game plan was to attack and get to the paint, try to find easy opportunities at the rim. But that didn't happen today.
Eric Horney, Oklahoma, Paul, considering the way you shot tonight and performed offensively, how does that make you feel coming off of this performance going into next season, whether it's here or elsewhere?
Why would you ask him a question like that? The game is over. Okay, he shot 2 for 16, so he's supposed to carry that into the offseason and say, you know what, I don't want the max because I shot 2 for 16 in Game 6 of last year's playoffs?
Feel good. One game just so happened to be the game that I need to play or make shots where we lose, about five points. But that's gonna happen. That's gonna happen over a series. You'll have a bad shooting night.
Yes, that does happen, bro. But 2 for 16, like, come on, man, knock it off.